biggest issue that comes up again and again when people talk about your candidacy is that of corruption. People allege that you have question marks around your integrity. So let me start by addressing that issue before we go into the question of your manifesto and the things that you want to do. Do you believe Nigeria has a corruption problem?
Certainly, Nigeria has a corruption problem. There is no doubt about that.
What in your view, is corruption?
Well, in my view, in corruption is the use of your privileged position to either enrich yourself or enrich your relatives or even your friends.
Okay.
In NPC, I said it. I swear, even if they are going to kill me, I will do it. At the end of the day, privatizing NNPC is going to be to our own advantage because you are not going to lose anything. As I have said openly, I will reduce the size of the federal government completely. And make sure that I hand over responsibilities to the various components, whether they are states, whether they are regions, whether they are zones, whatever people want to call them, that's their own business. And I'm also not going to enrich members of my family, but my friends. Are my friends not entitled to be enriched? As long as there is no element of corruption there. And there was none during our time when we privatized the banks, when we privatized institutions of the private sector. I have not heard a story of anybody coming to say either the president or myself took money.
And so would it be fair for us
in other words, abuse of office.
So would it be fair, therefore, using that definition, to examine your record in office vis-a-vis this definition, starting with your time as a custom officer at the Apapa ports and the setting up of a logistics company that did clearing and forwarding while you were in a custom officer? Would you consider that an abuse of office?
Certainly not, because it was an issue of share purchase. And at that point, it was very, very lawful for any public officer to purchase shares. Okay. And this is exactly, you must remember, I don't know how old you were, but you must, you must remember there was the indigenization decree which was passed by the then military government, which allowed public officers to legitimately acquire shares in their attempt to indigenize most, of the companies that were operating at that time that were owned by expats.
Okay, let me try and see if I can get this right, because the information in the public domain is not that this was an existing company in which you acquired shares. This is a company that you actually set up with an Italian shareholder, Mr. Volpi, and which you registered. And the primary job of that business was clearing and logistics.
I'm sorry.
At a time, let me ask, and then you can clarify.
Because
at a time when you were a customs officer who was responsible, actually, for making sure that the business of clearing and forwarding was done lawfully and that Nigeria was paid duty according to all the rules that were laid down. Now, is that information that's in the public domain accurate or not?
It's not correct.
Okay.
Let me tell you. Nicotes at that time was not registered as a clearing and forwarding agency. It was a registered company to undertake logistics in oil and gas. And that is what it still does. No more, no less.
This is the same company that transformed and metamorphosized into Intels.
That's right.
And which in 2006, was given extended 25-year concession in some key ports in this country, but more than that, it was given monopoly for the oil and gas sector at a time when you were the vice president of Nigeria.
Again,
do you see that this could be a moral problem or not?
Again, you are very, very incorrect.
Okay, please correct us.
Because the issue of monopoly was not there. There were still companies that we met in the ports that were doing exactly what Intels was doing. So there is no question of monopoly. It's a complete misrepresentation of the facts. There was no monopoly at all.
Calabar, Warri, One, all concessions to you and nobody else.
No, it's not all of One. It's not all of Warri. It's not all of
the oil
Calabar.
and gas business, the logistics oil and gas business was
there,
you.
There was competition, and there is still competition.
No, now there is.
No, there was. There was still competition.
Okay, so
you know, what you should have done was to make or conduct a research.
I
Kadiria.
did. I did.
They are where?
I did.
What was Browell doing?
This is.
No, I was asking.
This is on your company website, by the way. This is not information from an outsider. No, I'm taking this from your company website.
But you should have also cross-checked to see whether what the company was saying is correct or not.
Your company made a mistake about the fact that they have a monopoly.
Is quite possible.
Okay. Let me turn to Mr. Obi, because you have similar allegations against you of a conflict of interest. When you were governor of Anambra State, you invested in a brewery. You put money worth about 2 billion naira of the state money in a brewery, Interfact, I think, beverages. Your company next, according to the Corporate Affairs Commission, is a major shareholder in this particular brewery. How can you justify that? That you took money belonging to Anambra State and the people of Anambra State and invested it in a business in which you are a major shareholder?
Thank you very much. Canada, I brought international brewers into Nigeria.
SBM Miller.
I brought them into Nigeria. And as the governor of a state, they built a greenfield facility in the state. And they came to me and said, as our partner, we want you to own 15% of this company. And I said to them, no. Right now, I'm a governor of a state. I know the future of this brewery. I want the state to own 10%. And since I'm no longer involved in this company, they can own 5%. That I put in $30 million of state money there is now worth $100 million. And it's still there. And it's still there. No other state in this country has such investment.
How much have you personally made
from
that brewery?
I have no investment there, not 1 naira.
No, hang on. Next is a business that is associated with you. And according to the Corporate Affairs Commission, Next is a shareholder.
Go to Corporate Affairs today. If you see Peter be as owner of 1 share, I didn't say 1 share. It doesn't exist.
No. Next. Are you disassociating yourself from
Thank you very much. Next is a family company started by my own parents. As a son, as their own child. I ran it at a time when I became governor. I had nothing to do with Next.
Okay, so how much has your family made from the investment?
Thank you very much.
How much has your... No, see, this is a serious question. I'm sorry. I am sorry. I am sorry. Please,
very good question.
Nigerians are watching this, okay?
Very good question.
Okay?
No.
Let's ask this question. You took money belonging to Anambra State government and put it in a company in which your family has interest. That's what you're telling me.
No, let me tell you. Look at what you're saying. I got shares in banks. Let me tell you what I did. It wasn't only in that I invested. I invested $50 million of Anambra State money in power sector. I invested over several billions in banks, including banks where I have share. I was investing for the future of the state. It doesn't matter whether I have shares there or not. But so, if the shares is making profit, so if I have an opportunity of building a future for the state, shouldn't I have done that?
Okay, so can we agree that, in your view, as long as you are making money for the state, if some of that money finds its way into your pocket, it's not a problem?
Never. No.
Is that what you're saying? No, I'm trying to get clarity.
No, let me tell you. Yeah, no, let me clarify it.
Okay.
I left office. In this country. Living in Anambra State, with an investment and cash of 75 billion naira. It's never happened in this country. The day I left office, I had Infidelity Bank, $56 million, 12 billion naira for Anambra State. I had in Diamond Bank, $50 million, 12 billion naira for Anambra State. I had in Access Bank, $50 million, 12 billion naira for Anambra State. Show me in the history of this country where anybody has left 10% of that.
Thank you. And we are going to come back and talk about, your track record as governor. But let me come back to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. In your manifesto, you have a plan for tackling corruption, which you've agreed is a problem in this country. What is it? I'd like to hear what you plan to do.
I have said that there is need for us to go by the adage of the English saying, which says prevention is better than cure. We can have both going side by side. Punitive measures, preventive measures. And my point is that we should be able to introduce technology in our public service. We should be able to introduce technology even in the private sector, so that relationship between members of the public and government is not personal. I gave an example of the United Arab Emirates, whose citizens are not as educated as Nigeria. And yet, by introducing technology in their public service, they have virtually eliminated corruption. Since you want to apply, and you get approval.
Okay, so basically you want to...
So I really want...
automate everything.
Yes,
right.
To automate, the public service and make sure that contact to contact, which brings about the tendency, for corruption, that one is eliminated. If you eliminate that, then you would have succeeded in reducing the incidence of corruption to the barest minimum.
Okay, so I'm going to start taking questions because,